Have you ever had that one moment that changed everything? That split second when your life took a complete 180-degree turn? For me, it was the day I accidentally walked in on my boss in the bathroom. Yes, you heard that right. And if you think that sounds bad, trust me, it gets worse. She wasn't just any boss, she was Victoria Pierce, the most feared executive at Meridian Publishing, and I was just a desperate single dad who needed this job more than anything. If you want to find out how this catastrophic mistake led to the most unexpected journey of my life, stay with me until the end. And if this story resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more stories about life's unexpected turns. My name is Ethan Collins, and 6 months ago, my world was turned upside down when my wife, Sarah, passed away unexpectedly. One minute we were planning our daughter Lily's 5th birthday party, and the next, I was planning a funeral. The grief was overwhelming, but I didn't have the luxury of falling apart. Lily needed me. She'd already lost her mother, she couldn't lose her father to despair too. Sarah had been the primary breadwinner in our family while I worked part-time and took care of Lily. With her gone, our savings dwindled rapidly. The medical bills, the funeral costs, and the day-to-day expenses of raising a child alone were crushing me. I needed a full-time job, and I needed it fast. That's how I found myself at Meridian Publishing, a prestigious company known for its cutthroat environment but excellent pay. When I got the call that I'd been hired as an executive assistant, I nearly broke down crying on the phone. The salary would be enough to keep us afloat, and the benefits would cover Lily's health care. It felt like the first ray of sunshine after months of darkness. You'll be working directly under Victoria Pierce, the HR manager had told me. She's demanding, but if you can handle her, you'll go far in this company. I'd heard the rumors about Victoria. The Ice Queen. The Dragon Lady. The woman who had gone through 5 assistants in the past year alone. But I was desperate, and desperation makes you brave, or foolish, depending on how you look at it. My first day at Meridian was a blur of paperwork, introductions, and trying to memorize the complex layout of the massive office building. By lunchtime, my head was spinning, and I hadn't even met Victoria yet. She was in meetings all morning, which everyone assured me was a blessing. Take this time to prepare yourself, whispered Megan from marketing. Victoria expects perfection from day one. I nodded, trying to ignore the knot of anxiety in my stomach. I couldn't afford to fail. Lily was staying with my mother-in-law during the day, but I'd promised her that things would get better, that Daddy would make everything okay again. I had to make this work. After lunch, I returned to my desk outside Victoria's office, determined to make a good impression when she finally appeared. I organized my workspace, familiarized myself with the scheduling software, and reviewed the notes left by the previous assistant. Then my phone buzzed. It was Mrs. Jenkins, Lily's kindergarten teacher. Mr. Collins, I'm sorry to bother you at work, but Lily had a bit of a meltdown during story time. She's calmer now, but she's asking for you. My heart sank. This had been happening more frequently, Lily struggling to cope with her mother's absence, especially in situations that reminded her of Sarah, who used to read to her every night. Can I talk to her? I asked, glancing nervously at Victoria's still empty office. Mrs. Jenkins put Lily on the phone, and my daughter's small, tearful voice broke my heart. Daddy, when are you coming home? I miss you. I miss you too, sweetheart, I said softly. I'll be home for dinner, and we can read as many stories as you want, okay? I promise. Pinky promise? Pinky promise, I assured her, making the gesture even though she couldn't see it. I love you, Lily Pad. Love you too, Daddy. I hung up, blinking back tears. This new job was necessary, but the guilt of leaving Lily when she needed me most was almost unbearable. I took a deep breath, composing myself. I couldn't let Victoria see me emotional on my first day. Speaking of Victoria, where was she? Her meeting should have ended by now. I checked the schedule again, confirming that she should be back in her office. Maybe she'd returned while I was on the phone and I hadn't noticed. I approached her office door, listening for any sound inside. Hearing nothing, I knocked gently. No response. I knocked again, a bit louder. Still nothing. Just then, Megan passed by. Looking for Victoria? Yes, her meeting should have ended 30 minutes ago. Oh, she probably went to her private bathroom. She always freshens up after the board meetings. It's down that hallway, she pointed. The unmarked door at the end. She might want coffee when she comes out, black, no sugar. Thanks, I said, grateful for the tip. I hurried to the break room, prepared a perfect cup of black coffee, and headed down the hallway Megan had indicated. The hallway was quiet and elegantly decorated, with framed covers of Meridian's most successful publications lining the walls. At the end was an unmarked door, just as Megan had said. I balanced the coffee cup in one hand and knocked with the other. No answer. I knocked again, a bit harder. Still nothing. Maybe she couldn't hear me. Or maybe she wasn't there after all. I hesitated, then decided to check quickly. If she wasn't there, I'd leave the coffee on her desk and continue organizing my workstation. I turned the handle slowly and pushed the door open a crack. Miss Pierce? I brought you coffee. The words died in my throat as I realized my terrible mistake. This wasn't just a private office or lounge, it was indeed a bathroom. And standing by the sink, applying lipstick with precise movements, was Victoria Pierce herself. Our eyes met in the mirror, and time seemed to freeze. She was younger than I'd expected, maybe in her mid-30s, with sharp features and dark hair pulled back in a severe bun. But what struck me most was the flash of vulnerability in her eyes before it was quickly replaced by cold fury. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" she demanded, whirling around to face me. I stumbled backward, nearly spilling the coffee. "I'm so sorry." "I thought," Megan said, "I didn't realize." "Get out," she snapped, her voice like ice. I retreated immediately, closing the door with a shaking hand. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I just walked in on Victoria Pierce in her private bathroom. On my first day. I was going to be fired before I'd even properly started. I returned to my desk, set down the coffee, and waited for the inevitable. 5 minutes later, Victoria emerged from the hallway, her composure fully restored. She walked past me without a glance and entered her office, closing the door firmly behind her. I sat frozen, unsure what to do. Should I knock and apologize again? Should I wait for her to call me in? Should I start packing my things? Before I could decide, my phone rang. It was Victoria's extension. "Come in," she said curtly, and hung up. I took a deep breath, straightened my tie, and entered her office, prepared to beg for my job if necessary. Victoria was seated behind an imposing desk, reviewing documents with a pen poised in her hand. She didn't look up when I entered. "Ms. Pierce, I want to sincerely apologize for..." "You're Ethan Collins," she interrupted, finally looking at me. "Yes, ma'am." "The new assistant?" "Yes, ma'am." She studied me for a moment, her expression unreadable. "HR informed me you're a single parent." I swallowed hard. "Yes, I am. I have a 5-year-old daughter." "And that was her on the phone earlier?" My stomach dropped. She'd heard my conversation with Lily. "Yes, she's having a difficult time adjusting to changes in our family." Victoria's eyes narrowed slightly. "I expect my assistant to be fully focused on their job, Mr. Collins. Personal distractions are unacceptable." I straightened my shoulders. "I understand, Ms. Pierce. It won't happen again. See that it doesn't." She returned her attention to her documents. "As for the bathroom incident, I'll overlook it this once. Megan has a peculiar sense of humor that has gotten several employees in trouble. I suggest you verify information from more reliable sources in the future. Relief washed over me. Thank you, Ms. Pierce. I appreciate the second chance. She looked up again, her gaze piercing. Don't mistake this for leniency, Mr. Collins. I'm simply too busy to train another assistant this week. Now, I need the Henderson file prepared for tomorrow's meeting, my lunch order placed with Café Laurent, they know my usual, and the quarterly reports organized by department and profitability. Can you handle that? Absolutely, I said, mentally taking notes. Good. That will be all. I nodded and turned to leave, but her voice stopped me at the door. And Mr. Collins? The coffee was cold. I winced. I'll bring you a fresh cup right away. Don't bother. I'll get it myself. I returned to my desk, my emotions a mix of relief and anxiety. I hadn't been fired, but I was definitely on thin ice. I threw myself into the tasks Victoria had assigned, determined to prove my worth. The rest of the day passed in a blur of activity. Victoria was indeed as demanding as her reputation suggested, but she was also incredibly efficient and precise in her instructions. By the time 5:30 rolled around, I had completed everything she'd asked for and was organizing her schedule for the next day. Victoria emerged from her office, coat and bag in hand. She paused at my desk, examining my work with a critical eye. The Henderson file looks acceptable, she said, which I gathered was high praise from her. Be here at 7:30 tomorrow. The morning meeting has been moved up. Yes, Ms. Pierce. Have a good evening. She gave me a curt nod and walked away, her heels clicking sharply on the polished floor. I exhaled slowly, feeling like I'd survived some kind of trial by fire. I quickly packed up my things, eager to get home to Lily. I'd promised her stories, and I intended to keep that promise. As I waited for the elevator, I checked my phone and found a text from my mother-in-law, Lily's had dinner. She's waiting for you with a stack of books. Drive safely. I smiled, feeling a small weight lift from my shoulders. Day 1, survived. Now I just had to make it through the rest of the week. And the week after that. And somehow balance being a good father with being the perfect assistant to the most demanding boss in New York. The elevator doors opened, and to my surprise, Victoria was inside. She looked equally startled to see me. Mr. Collins, she acknowledged as I stepped in. Miss Pierce. We rode in awkward silence for several floors. Then, unexpectedly, she spoke. Your daughter, Lily, was it? Is she all right? I blinked, surprised by the question. She's adjusting. My wife passed away 6 months ago. It's been difficult for both of us, but especially for Lily. Something flickered across Victoria's face, sympathy, perhaps, or recognition. But it was gone so quickly I might have imagined it. I see, she said simply. Children are resilient. They are, I agreed. But they also need stability and support. The elevator reached the lobby, and the doors slid open. Victoria stepped out first, then paused. Mr. Collins, I expect excellence from my assistants. But I'm not unreasonable. If there's an emergency with your daughter, you should attend to it. Before I could respond, she was walking away, leaving me staring after her in confusion. Had the Ice Queen just shown a crack in her frozen exterior? I shook my head and headed for the parking garage. It had been a strange first day, but I'd survived. And somehow, I'd have to find a way to thrive, for Lily's sake. Little did I know that my bathroom blunder was just the beginning of a complicated relationship that would change both our lives forever. The next few weeks fell into a demanding but manageable routine. I'd drop Lily off at school early, arrive at the office by 7:30, and spend my days anticipating Victoria's needs before she even expressed them. I learned quickly that she valued efficiency above all else, and that the smallest details mattered to her, from the temperature of her coffee to the precise formatting of her documents. Victoria remained aloof and exacting, but there were moments when I caught glimpses of something else beneath her icy exterior. Like when she overheard me on the phone with Lily's teacher, discussing my daughter's continued emotional struggles, and afterward silently adjusted a meeting time so I could attend Lily's school conference. Or when she noticed the dark circles under my eyes after a night spent comforting Lily through nightmares and ordered lunch for both of us, claiming it was more efficient than having me leave the office. These small moments of consideration were so at odds with her reputation that I began to wonder if there was more to Victoria Pierce than the corporate dragon everyone feared. My curiosity about my enigmatic boss grew when I was organizing her calendar and noticed a recurring appointment simply labeled AP every other Thursday evening. It wasn't my place to pry, but I couldn't help wondering what, or who, could command a regular spot in Victoria's meticulously managed schedule. I got my answer unexpectedly one Thursday afternoon when Victoria was preparing to leave early for her mysterious appointment. "Mr. Collins, I need you to reschedule tomorrow's conference call with the London office. Something's come up with my father." "Your father?" I echoed before I could stop myself. Victoria's expression tightened. "Yes, my father. Arthur Pierce. He's in a care facility upstate. I visit him twice a month." "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry," I said quickly. She waved away my apology. "It's not a secret, just not something I discuss at the office. Professional boundaries, Mr. Collins." "Of course," I nodded. "I hope everything's all right with him." Something in her posture softened slightly. "It's not. He has Alzheimer's. Some days are better than others." She checked her watch. "I should go. The traffic will be terrible. Would you like me to call your car service?" "No need. I drive myself for these visits." She gathered her things and headed for the door, then paused. "The conference call? I'll reschedule it right away," I assured her. She nodded and left, leaving me with a new piece of the puzzle that was Victoria Pierce. She visited her ailing father regularly, something that required her to leave work early, which I knew she hated doing. It was a small glimpse of humanity that didn't fit with her Ice Queen image. The next day, Victoria arrived later than usual, looking tired and tense. I had her coffee ready, hot, black, in her preferred mug, and a brief summary of what she'd missed prepared. She accepted both with a distracted nod and disappeared into her office. An hour later, she called me in. I found her staring out the window, her back to the door. "The London call has been rescheduled for Monday," I informed her. "And I've moved your lunch meeting to accommodate the change." "Thank you," she said, still facing the window. Then, after a pause, "My father didn't recognize me yesterday." I stood silently, unsure how to respond to this unexpected confidence. "It happens more frequently now," she continued. "The doctors say it's the progression of the disease. There's nothing to be done." "I'm very sorry," I said softly. She turned then, her expression composed but her eyes revealing a deep sadness. "Do you know what the worst part is, Mr. Collins? It's not that he doesn't recognize me. It's that he recognizes me as my mother." "Your mother?" "She left when I was 12. Just walked out one day and never came back. My father raised me alone." She gave a small, bitter laugh. "Now he thinks I'm her, returned after all these years. He was so happy to see her yesterday." I felt a pang of empathy. "That must be incredibly difficult." "It is what it is," she said, her professional mask sliding back into place. "I apologize for the personal digression. That will be all, Mr. Collins." I nodded and turned to leave, but something made me pause at the door. "Miss Pierce? For what it's worth, I think it speaks volumes about your character that you visit him regularly, even when it's painful." She looked surprised, then gave me a small, genuine smile, the first I'd ever seen from her. Thank you, Ethan.